Hello, all. Good evening. Welcome to the second session of Saturday Night Spooky Stories. This is April 1st. We have got two participants as of now, Arunaleka and PV Sagar. In the meantime, before others join, we can go ahead with a couple of stories. Aruna has got a couple of stories to share, so let's hear her stories. Hey, Aruna. Hi. Do you want to share your story or your experience?
Uh, sure. So this story, it's barely a story, but it runs in my family, as in we've been told about it. Uh, it's very simple and it's very sad.
Okay. A trigger
So
warning
this,
then.
yeah, it's. Mm, I guess it was in the late 70s. My grandfather, my father's father, he was in the hospital because he was not well. He had complications because of his diabetes and heart issues, and he was just 52 years old, so he was very young. And my father and my uncle and my aunt and my grandmother were there in the house. So those days, my parents didn't have a my father was not yet married, but he didn't have a phone in the house. So they visited him during the visiting hours. They went to see my grandfather, and uh, and then they came back, and then they were having dinner. And my uncle was sitting with his back towards my grandfather's room, and my grandmother and my father were facing my grandfather's room and sitting and having dinner.
Okay.
And both my grandmother and my father suddenly felt that there's my grandfather in the room, in his bedroom. And then they took a second look. They saw him sitting, they saw him standing. Both of them felt it, but neither of them told each other that. But both of them took a second look, and they noticed that it was just a clothes wire running across the room, and there was his kurta and his lungi fluttering on the clothesline. So they assumed that's what they must have seen, a flutter in the lungi or a flutter in the kurta. And it was the dinner time. They finished dinner. They didn't tell this to each other. The next
Oh.
day, when we went to the hospital, they heard that my grandfather had passed away the previous night, and they realized then that he passed away during the dinner time, and they firmly believe that grandfather had come to say bye, and he was standing in the room trying to say bye to his wife and kids.
Oh wow. So was it around the same time, like when these
Yes,
guys
dinner
are
time. And the sad thing is, there were no phone numbers. This is, I'm talking about late 70s. There were no phone numbers, and the hospital couldn't contact them by phone, so they had to wait to break the news. So they didn't know that their family member is dead. They went to the hospital and then found out that he died the previous night during dinner, like during dinner time.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's in a way nice and sad and nice at the same time. So it's yeah, nice. Okay.
And I think my father doesn't like to talk about it. I heard it from my grandmother.
Wow.
Probably because my father doesn't believe in spirits and ghosts and a dead person coming to say goodbye. He doesn't believe in these things. But my grandmother believed, so she told me the story.
Yeah, people have got their own beliefs, but again, I've heard multiple such stories, and they might be true, they might not be. But it is a nice thing that your grandfather came back to see, have one last look at his wife and his kids. That's nice.
Hmm.
Okay. Do you have any other? You said you got another story. Do you want to go with other story too?
We'll wait for Sagar to say something.
Sure. Yeah. Sagar, do you have anything to add, or you got any
Special
story?
card begin.
Sorry.
Yeah, I do have a story.
Yeah.
Was the background noise from my side? Because I was out.
Yeah. You don't sound really that well. You don't really sound that sharp. You sound really loud.
Yeah, I was in a restaurant.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Uh,
We're hearing a lot
I
of
thought
people.
I
I guess
do.
you guys are ordering as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I
But
thought I'm sharing a story today, but on the sudden plan, we came outside to.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're comfortable sharing, I mean, if you're okay sharing, that's okay too. We're just two of us, so there's no one here. If you're
But that and robots noise.
okay, then I'll share on the same thing, and I'll share one story which happened with my mother. So it was kind of not entirely the same, but my mother's side, my grandma had 12 children, and my mother was the eighth, and she had a elder brother before him who was the seventh kid to my grandfather and grandmother. So my mother and my mama were pretty close since there were 12 kids. 12 kids. They were. It's general. There were multiple groups. So my mom and my mama were kind of one group, and they were pretty close to each other as kids. And during his when he was 16 or 17, he died. He passed away because of some uh, illness. I guess it was because of jaundice or something. He passed away at the age of 16. Years passed. My mother got married. My mother got married in the age in the year of 85. Uh, they got married in the month of May or something. Yeah, they got married in the month of May. Uh, 3 or 4 months or 6 months down the lane, my father and my mother had an argument kind of such. So she came from a new family, so she was kind of sad and oh, back then we used to have a big house. It was a combined family. I wasn't born though, but yeah, it was a big house and it was a combined family where my father's father, my paternal father, my grandfather and my grandmother used to live in one house, and other family members, both my uncles used to live in two other houses, and our house, it's a square kind of thing where there is four boxes. Imagine there are four. There's a square, and the square is divided into four boxes. On the bottom corner, we used to live. On the left two corner, on the left side, my uncles used to live. On the right side, the other uncle used to live. That was these four corners are the four different houses, but they were all attached in one big house as such. So apart from this square house with four different houses, my grandmom and my grandfather used to live in a different house, which is beside this one, and there used to be one small hut kind of thing. So this was the setup. If you, I hope you're able to imagine it properly. If not, I'm
Yeah.
really sorry. So my mother and my father, they had an argument. So my mother was all sad, and she came out of the house and she went into that hut, and she was kind of crying, and she would the hut is not occupied. It's more like a guest house kind of thing where when guests come in, they go and occupy that house. So she went into the house. She was sitting inside the hut and she was crying. All of a sudden, she she heard her brother's voice. My mother's name was is Usha, so she heard her calling. She heard him calling her Usha. She looked at him. She was surprised. She was shocked. He was literally standing in front of her, and she was sitting down and she was crying. Uh, she heard out her name. She looked up. It was him, his brother, her brother standing in front of her. She was shocked. She was shell shocked. She didn't know what to do. He was trying to console her, saying that, see, it's okay. Brother-in-law is not bad. It's like he's a bit angry. You don't take anything to the heart. You'll be everything is gonna be fine. Yeah, our other brother-in-law, her sister's husband, he's a railway TT. He said, he's a railway TT. So my mama said to my mother that, see that our TT brother-in-law is gonna come now to visit you. You take a break from here, go back to our place, our mother's place. You be there for a couple of weeks and come back. Everything will be fine. All this time, she was just looking at him in shock, and she was just listening to everything. And he disappeared he gave this message and he disappeared, it seems. After like couple of minutes or after 5-20 minutes, he the my uncle, which my mama was mentioning about, came into that house, and he what do we call? He called up my mother, and he took her back to he took her back to her parents' place. So yeah, that was the story.
Okay.
Yeah, that the I mean she used to have this kind of, she had many such experiences with her brother, but this was one which happened back in 85, when we were still not born, when she got recently married.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey Akshat, hi.
Did she have, so you're saying she had
Yeah,
many such occurrences?
experiences, occurrences, and there was one other, maybe I'll share that story for the next sessions. There was one story, weird experience, where it happened in 2007. No, in 2005, I guess. Yeah, in 2005. So I'll share that story later on in the next sessions. That where we were all there. I mean, my entire family was there. Me, my sister, my mother, my father, everyone were there, and we've, except me and my father, my sister. My father went out for to get something. Me, my sister, and my house were me, my sister, and my mother were in the room. I was sleeping. My mother and my sister have experienced it, and it was a really weird experience. I'll tell you in the next session.
Okay. I'll also hold my second story for the next
Okay.
session.
Akshat, hello, hi. Akshat, you there? Guys, I guess we're gonna run out of time on this Zoom link, so I'll be sending out a new Zoom link as well now within a couple of minutes. Since this is not a pro account, I bought only 40 minutes for this meeting. How long
Right.
is it? How long has that been? Has it been 40 minutes already? I guess not. Maybe yeah. Once I get that message, I'll send you a new link invite then. So you do believe in ghosts and all this paranormal stuff?
Asking me?
Yes, yeah. Because you're the only one talking. Others are Sagar is
Yes.
not a person to talk, and Akshata is not answering.
He's replying. Sagar is talking on the chat. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I have great interest in horror. I have great
Okay.
interest in ghosts and spirits. I don't know if I believe, but one day I would like to meet someone, meet an entity. Maybe then I'll believe. But
Yeah.
one thing I will say is that ghosts don't scare me. As
Hmm.
in, I have a feeling that, I mean, whoever I might meet or any small experiences in my life, for example, just small experience. My dog passed away. My parents' dog, who we loved
Okay.
a lot. She passed away. And then a week later, I was sitting in the living room watching TV, full lights on, and nothing was scary. And suddenly I felt like I saw my dog lying down at her usual spot. It could be just a small hallucination, or it could be her coming to say that everything is fine. Don't worry, I'm still here. And that was a very calming experience. It was not sad, it was not scary. So I have a feeling I'm not scared of ghosts, I'm not scared of darkness. I'm scared
Hmm.
of serial killers, and I'm scared of like humans
Seriously,
committing
yeah.
crime. I'm not scared of ghosts and spirits. But someday I would like to meet someone, meet
Hmm.
something, and see if I can, talk to them. I'm looking forward to that day.
Super. I mean, I'm not as brave as you. I'm definitely scared of darkness. I haven't seen a ghost. I haven't experienced anything myself. But again, yeah, I do want to believe them. But first thing, I want to see them first. But I'm scared. Whenever I go into a new place which is quite dark. Yeah, as you're mentioning, first thing that scares me more than ghosts or paranormal, I'm more scared about humans coming and mugging us. Every
Right.
time, yeah, that so there was this time when we've all gone to some place in the forest. We wanted to go. There's a place somewhere in the outskirts of Hyderabad where you can go explore into the forest. So my friends have taken me there. The only thing that was scaring me was, what if someone was already has already come there and already camped there? What if they come and attack us? Normal
Right.
humans. More than ghosts. That's what scares me a lot. Yeah, I'm really scared of jump scares as well. Definitely, my friend. Whenever we talk about ghost stories, my friends try to scare me a lot, and I get scared with jump scares too. But again, humans are far more dangerous than ghosts. That I believe that one.
I believe that. Hey, do you watch horror films or read horror books?
I do watch a lot of horror films. I want to read, but I haven't really come across any book till now.
Okay.
Do you have any suggestions?
So I'm a big fan of Stephen King.
Okay.
So,
So you've
and
read
then
all
I've read lots of Stephen Kings I've read, and they're not always like ghost scary. They are
the.
also like, and they might not be everyone's cup of tea. But there's this author I read once. He's called David Morrell, I think. He's the guy who wrote Rambo. You know the movie Rambo.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I think he wrote that movie. So he also
Hmm.
has a book called Black Evening. It is a book of short stories,
Okay.
and it's very strange horror, very eerie. Puts your, the hair on the back of your neck stands up.
Oh,
So that's a book I really enjoyed.
what's the
David
name?
Morrell.
What is the name
They,
of the book?
it's called Black Evening.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to find it.
Black Evening. Maybe if you find it, it's an old copy. I don't know if it's still in reprint or not. But if you find it, read it. And Stephen King, any book you can pick up and give it a shot. Maybe Pet Cemetery is a good starting point. Pet
I've seen
Cemetery.
the movies. I've seen all the
The problem,
adapted movies.
yeah, the problem with Stephen King is his books don't translate that well into films. He's he's a brilliant writer, but somehow whoever does the screenplay, sometimes he himself does the screenplay, but it doesn't translate as well onto screen.
Pet Cemetery was one. It is one, and other one. I guess not Stranger Things though. But
Yeah,
what?
that is a very Stephen King feel, but it's not Stephen
Yeah,
King.
I guess there was another movie that came along on the same lines of It and Pet Cemetery, which was again, I guess, Stephen King's. I don't
Have
remember
you
the.
watched The Ring?
Yes, yeah. I watched. I guess most of every horror fan would have seen Ring.
Yeah, everyone would have seen.
Ring, Grudge, Exorcism, Exorcist, Evil Dead are kind of the mandatory movies to watch for all the horror fans, I guess.
Yeah.
These were few. I've started listening to podcasts. I listen to podcasts on Mirchi. There's an app called Mirchi, Radio Mirchi. So where you can listen to all the podcasts and for the stores. It's more like the Audible book we've got. So I try listening to horror stories on these podcasts.
Hmm.
There aren't many like. Most of the stories are being narrated in Bollywood movies or Tollywood movies. I don't know why is that they're putting all masala content in normal stories as well. They could there's nothing really that scary. I've tried listening to few series seasons altogether, but nothing really caught my attention. There was this story which I've recently heard on Mirchi app. So again, these are all fictional stories. I guess some writer would have written it, and these guys are reading it out. So the story goes something like: there's a lady called, let's say, Aishwarya, just for the sake of it. She falls in love with some guy called, let's say, Abhishek. So they get married, but Abhishek turns out to be an abuser. So they'll have a kid, but he turns out to be an abuser. He keeps abusing her physically and mentally. So she gets frustrated. She gets divorced, and she'll move into a new house. She'll she get and she'll she'll become a single parent. She wants to move into a new house. After this happens, like after 6 years or 7 years, it seems. So she's a working mom. She'll move away along with the kid. Now the kid is around 7 years, 6 7 years. She'll try to find a house for herself, but most of the houses she's trying to find are out of her budget. She wants to buy a house, but that she'll find a deal which is pretty reasonable, which is in her budget, it seems. So she'll buy that house. She'll live in her she'll move along with her mother. Her mother and the kid move. All the three will move into their house, and it's a pretty old house, but it's a pretty good house, but it is pretty old. She gets in a very good deal. She gets into the house. The kid also starts liking the house. She'll what do we call? She'll rearrange it. She'll try to make it new and everything. It's all done. In the meantime, the neighbors and the other neighbors look at her weirdly. It's more of a Bollywood cinematic kind of like they'll all look at her thinking, why did she come into this house and everything. So they'll tell her that. So she'll ask what has happened, what has gone wrong. Then they'll tell her a backstory that a family used to live here, a husband, wife, and a kid. They committed suicide or something something bad. Since then, no one has moved into the house. No one, because weird things have been happening inside. She doesn't really care about this one. She keeps on going out with her life. In the meantime, this her kid will befriend a imaginary friend inside the house. So he used to come and tell her that, see, I have a friend inside the house. His name is so and so. We used to play. We play together. This is how we spent a day and everything. The normal general stuff. So this is what happens. So the days go by. This kid starts acting weirdly. He's scared. He's like he doesn't want to go to school. So I actually don't remember the entire story. I'm just trying to narrate whatever I remember. So one day, when she comes back, I guess she'll get a call from her school or something, saying that your kid isn't feeling well. So we've sent him back to the house. He's in the house. So she'll by the time she comes back to the house, she'll keep looking for him everywhere in the house. Where is he, karke? He'll go into the bedroom. She'll go into the bedroom to find him sitting on the bed, crying and all scared. She'll go and ask him, what happened? Why are you scared? Why are you crying? He says, there's a monster under my bed and he wants to kill me, karke. She's like, maybe this fellow is all joking around. So she'll bend down and she'll try. She wants to prove her kid that there's no one under the bed. She'll bend down and she'll go under the bed, and she'll find her kid again under the bed, saying, "Mom, don't go up. There is a monster sitting on the bed who wants to kill me." That's it. So this was a story narrated in that Radio Mirchi app.
Okay.
Oh, again, I guess I've narrated it really badly because I don't remember the story, but I found it interesting. This is more like a short
Yeah,
film.
I've seen this, this has become a very interesting horror. It's very scary, it's very spooky. But I've seen it. There was a Netflix show, limited series show called Typewriter. It was a horror set in Goa.
Oh, yeah, I've started it, but I've never thought it. I did not like it, and at least the initial part, so I haven't never continued it. How was it?
I think all the horror, like the spine chilling bits happen in the first two episodes. After that,
Okay.
it's more like a crime mystery types. But there was like first episode or second episode, or maybe even a third episode, there were like very nice jump scares and very nice scary situations. And after that, it's all okay. It's like kids trying to solve a crime, becomes a kids movie suddenly.
Oh, it's like RGB then.
But they had something like this, like a kid on the bed and a kid under the bed.
Oh, okay. 2019 series. Hey Akshat, maybe you wanna talk do you wanna unmute yourself and talk if it's okay? I can't
Okay.
talk, bro. Okay, no problem. Okay. Any other suggestions or any other stories? Listening to I've been a really bad narrator, man. I don't know what is that you're listening. You weren't there when I've narrated my first story, which was again I wouldn't say I've narrated it well, but that was far more better than this one though. And there are other channels on YouTube. So do you follow all these YouTube horror channels, horror links and everything?
No, I listen to podcasts and I listen to a lot of true crime. I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts. I'm actually a big fan of Agatha Christie. I mean, I just see that Sagar mentioned books by Agatha Christie. I'm a huge fan.
I've heard this name, Agatha Christie, somewhere.
She's uh, she's one of the best one of the most celebrated mystery writers of before our time. She died in the
What
70s, I think. 70s.
what are the
Her genre is mystery. Mystery.
Can you name any famous book which we might have heard of?
Uh, uh, there's a Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, I've seen the movie. Yeah.
Death on the Nile, Murder on the Orient Express. These are
Hmm.
hers.
I've seen both. I guess.
Murder
Okay.
on the Orient Express is like her biggest hit, I think. But that's my least favorite book. But
Oh,
I'm a huge fan of hers. I have all her books. I have all her books in my
hmm.
house, except I think the last book, where the main character passes away. I don't have that book. Rather than that, I have all the books.
But do you get to experience the same kind of feeling which we experience while? I mean, at least I'm talking about the books which you've been reading. Do you get the same
Mhm.
kind of feel what you get watching a movie when you read a book? Like
Yeah,
when you're
yeah.
watching a book,
Like
I
I'm
mean,
scared to. No, I'm
sorry.
sometimes scared to turn the page. I'm sometimes scared to turn the page. Mm.
Oh, that's
Because
what.
I know something.
Yeah, that's what. Like when we're watching a movie, we know we can anticipate that something is going to come up here. I mean, there is an eerie silence in the entire scene that all of a sudden there'll be a jump scare. All of a sudden there will be something hanging at some corner of the screen. So we know we anticipate, but that is scary enough. But I'm not really sure if do we get the same kind of feeling or same kind of do we have the same kind of anticipation and eeriness when you're reading a book? That's what. I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah. I read a lot of mystery. I read a lot of mystery, so I know that I get scared and I get excited that the end is going to come, and we can see. We'll get to know who the killer actually was. So that's very thrilling.
Oh, nice. The only mystery book I've ever read or that was made to read by me was the Hound of Baskerville. The Sherlock.
Are you from IC
No,
7th standard?
that came in my 10th standard. We are from state syllabus that came in our 10th standard itself.
For ICSE 7th standard, I had to read Hound of Baskerville.
Oh, okay. That was one, and there were a few other mysteries of Sherlock Holmes. That's it. Nothing more than I haven't read any other books. The only couple of books I've read was Three Mystics of My Life and Immortals of Maluha. I've never really read any books apart from these. I need to
Okay.
I need to try reading few. I guess we are ending on this link. I'll be sending you a new link on the chat. I mean, if you guys are still up to, if not, if you don't have any stories, maybe we can end the session early. But if you want to talk more, if you want to share any more stories, or if you want to discuss more, I'll be sending out your new
I
link.
was expecting it to be from 10 to 11, so my time is up. I need to go sleep now.
Okay.
so I can't. But next time I'll come whenever the next session is.
I guess the next session is on 15th. It's 2 Saturdays. Yeah, it's on 15th again. So
Okay.
I guess you are you're one story due. You said you're gonna share your story next time. Okay,
Yes.
super. We'll be waiting for it then. And I am taking your confirmation again. It's okay to put this video on YouTube, right? Or whatever. I wouldn't call
Yes.
this a video. Okay, super. Thank you, Anulika. Thank you so much for sharing your stories.
Thanks, Suresh. It was lovely talking to you. Bye.
Yeah, same here. Bye. Hey Sagar, I guess we are done for today. We don't have any more stories. And thank you, Akshay. Thank you, Sagar. I'm sorry in the first place for not joining on right time. I'll try to join sooner next time around. Thank you, bro. Bye, guys.